What a day. Another Saturday, Joe Lisi. Week 13 in college football action. This is the SportsGrid Network, and it's SportsGrid. College football today. Donnie Rightside along with Joe Lisi. A lot of topics to get to today, Joe. You don't need the binoculars anymore. Remember like week 1, week 2, week 3? It's like, man, we're never going to get to the college football playoff. We're almost here. It's around the corner, and a lot of information to get to.
Yeah, and the games today are good, Donnie. They're not elite like
Rutgers,
we had.
Ohio State, elite. Come on.
Not like what we had last week with Alabama and Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas. Those games played out, but they're meaningful football games as it relates to division titles and, more importantly, college football playoff odds and rankings. 3 good games today. We'll see how they play out. And three games where I think you can make the assessment where they're coin flips either way. You can make the argument the favorite or the dog have a good shot. Not the case last week, but we'll see how it plays out this week.
Let's take a look, Joe. College football rankings as they stand right now. And again, not a lot of surprises there in the top 5. It's Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Texas Tech. Probably figuring that each one of those teams will get into the college football playoff. But the ones that we like to take a look at, Joe, a little bit lower. The Vandy's at 8-2, Miami at 8-2, Utah at 8-2, BYU at 9-1. Do we see any shakeups this week possibly where somebody can really be moving up or somebody moving on out?
Yeah, well, for all 4 of those teams, Donnie, they're in a position where they can make the college football playoff, but they have to take care of business. They have to win out. They have to at least be 10-2 and be jockeying for that type of position, and then you go quality wins in that type of assessment. I think when you look at the games, on paper they look like they should be, the favorite should cover. Miami 17.5-point favorite over Vatech, but it is the last home game for Vatech. Vatech typically plays Miami tough. James Franklin might be there, so you can never say it's just a walk in the park, and we've seen Miami struggle in certain spots throughout the regular season. For Utah, they've never faced Kansas State, so this is the first meeting all time. What do you get out of a team that's 5-5? And for Vanderbilt, they're coming out of a bye week, basically. So what are you going to get now? A red-hot team. They haven't defeated Kentucky, Donnie, since 2015 in Nashville. So these are all the situations that'll play out later today.
Now, the excitement here, of course, of a college football playoff, and if we can put that graphic back up here on the screen to take a look at the estimated games that we would have. Tulane's in that 12 spot. That's where I get angry because I don't like the group of 5. I see Miami, Ole Miss, which will be a fun matchup. Who knows if Miami's even good enough or even if they can get in there. But they are the placeholder right now, Joe, until we find out more about the ACC. But you got to love it. Like, once you get out of, the first round is going to be good and there will be some good matchups. But round number 2, Joe, we are setting up for some heavyweight fights.
Yeah, and even that game, that we just saw, Notre Dame, Oklahoma would be intriguing, right? And the way Oklahoma's playing, the way Notre Dame is playing, to your point, one of the hottest teams in the nation. And Tulane, Texas Tech, Donnie, Texas Tech is good, and they're elite right now in the Big 12, but you can never say never with a group of 5 team that's physical, and John Summerall and the Wave, where they could go in there in Lubbock and potentially win that matchup. You can never say never with a battle-tested quarterback, Jake Retzloff. So these matchups potentially are great, but you mentioned A&M, Georgia, and all those 2 top teams, Indiana and Ohio State, waiting in the balance. We would have Texas Tech and Georgia potentially, Notre Dame, Oklahoma versus Ohio State. You don't get better than that in a semifinal playoff matchup.
We see those top 12 teams are making it. You know what's even better, Joe? A 24-team playoff that we can all sink our teeth into. We can have some fun
already,
and fantastic. Don't you want to argue about Navy getting into the college football playoff, Joe, in a couple of years? Come on.
I always say I would love to see a triple option team. With a week of prep, it would be very difficult for a team to potentially knock off Navy, Army. That's why I wanted an Army to run the table last year. They got blown out by Notre Dame in Yankee Stadium. But you're right. The bigger question, though, and I know we're going off the beaten path, but let's say we do have the Ole Miss, maybe Georgia Tech, Miami argument, right? Yeah. Is Lane Kiffin going to be in that game?
Lane Kiffin on the out.
That would be crazy to have a playoff caliber team in the first round of the playoff, and the potential Lane Kiffin factor. He might not even be on the sideline.
They should hold that carrot over Ole Miss's head. Like, you get rid of Lane Kiffin, you're out of the college football playoff.
No, you can't.
Get him out of there.
Kill the kids.
Who would coach? Joe Moorhead? Who's coaching
Pete
down
Golding potentially, DC. But that is the situation, unfortunately, that we have in college football now. The situation in LSU in Florida, rumors with the $90 million contract for Lane Kiffin.
13 a year.
Would you leave for 13 a year?
Yes. In a heartbeat,
Would you
for
drop
13
the
years.
team for 13
I mean, drop it down. Go down to LSU. Start rebuilding it there. I mean, my goodness. They have by the way,
Guys,
their
I
NIL
love
was
you, but
ridiculous.
I'm gone.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, boys, you know what? Time was good here. I'm moving on out. I always told you guys to, move up in life and make some money, and that's what they're doing at this point. Talking about making some money, Joe, you might be able to do that today out there on the West Coast in the Big Ten. That's USC and Oregon. Number 15 versus number 7 today. 8-2. USC taking on 9-1 Oregon. Joe, we take a look at the numbers. We've been seeing these rise the entire week. Opened up around a touchdown price point here as a favorite towards Oregon. We now see 10.5s across the board and a total, Joe, 59.5. Weather's good, by the way. 52 degrees, light winds today, no rain in the forecast.
Yeah, this is an intriguing matchup. Now, from the series perspective, Oregon has won 3 straight. Yeah. That was from 2019 to 2023. They haven't played in a couple of years, so you could throw that out the window. But it is a contrast in styles. You have Jaden Mayava and USC that are averaging 298 passing yards per game, going up against one of the best statistical secondaries in all of the Big Ten in college football. Oregon's only allowing, Donnie, 127
really good
passing
defense.
Yards per game. They're holding opposing quarterbacks to 50% completion percentage. That's the matchup. And on the flip side, you have Brandt Jr. and you have DeCorian Moore that are both out potentially for this matchup. 2 of the top 4 leading wide receivers for Oregon. That's going to put a lot more pressure on Dante Moore in that passing attack. Can they live up to expectations? I still give the edge to Dan Lanning over Lincoln Riley. I think he's a better head coach. I do like Dante Moore at home, better completion percentage. He's mobile. He can break contain. And I'm still not sold on the USC defense, Donnie. Last 4 games with that Notre Dame game, they're allowing 201 rushing yards per game. That goes right into the strength of an Oregon offense, averaging 233 on the ground. Give me Oregon. I don't know if it's a rout, but I think they win it by 17 or more.
Yeah, if you're just looking at that line, that's a stone-cold Oregon line right there, a double-digit favorite at this point. But also, Joe, like how we got there, though, because it might be a bend-but-don't-break defense there for USC the way you play it out. You take a look at 13 points against Michigan, 17 against Nebraska, 17 against Northwestern, and then Iowa at 21 points there. I'm interested to see how they rise up because the one team that actually had a good offense was Notre Dame, 34 points. Right. They got hung on them there. That's what I want to see most. And then you take a look at Oregon, right? They lose the game to Indiana, and then you take a look at Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota. Not exactly a murderer's row, but you are right about this. They are playing great defense here, and I agree. Those totals there around the 60s, 61s that you saw early in the week, Joe, dropping down. I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're giving you 60 points. So if you play it out and you're like, okay, if Oregon plays up to form from a defensive perspective, they're only allowing basically 230 total yards per game. They're giving up 108 on the ground, 127 in the back end. How much more is USC going to exploit them? And then without the 2 top 4 wide receivers potentially in this game, does Oregon look to attack on the ground, which potentially leans to the under, right? It could be a gift when you just think about the 59.5s, 58.5s that are creeping into the market. That sort of plays it right into an Oregon line, right? If Oregon's going to win this game, Donnie, I don't know if they win it 45-30 in that aspect. I think they win it maybe 35-17. They contain USC, force turnovers, and look to get out of Dodge.
College football playoff rankings, Joe, today. USC sits there at 8-2, 15th overall. If they beat Oregon today, are they a legit playoff contender? Now, granted, you might need some things to happen, but if they win today, would you say, yes, they're getting – because they're probably going to beat UCLA, right?
Right, yeah.
So are they in?
I mean, they have the quality of win over Michigan. Now, I don't think Michigan's elite, but if Michigan were to knock off Ohio State, then all of a sudden you have the head-to-head with Michigan. They're similar, even though I think if Oklahoma wins out, and we're talking Oklahoma's resume and USC's, I'm giving it to Oklahoma. But if they're there with the likes of Miami, that's a pretty good argument to have USC in the playoff.
Now, understand this, Joe. Let's take the flip side of it. Oregon, 9-1, number 7 in the country right now. They lose. Are they out of the college football playoff?
I would say no.
Because they're going to get jumped. If they lose, they're getting jumped automatically by USC,
I know.
right?
This is the argument, and this is what we're going to have to figure out. I would say no.
I love the chaos.
But again, we'll see exactly how it plays out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, because you know as well as I do, upsets are going to happen. Teams that are supposed to win there are going to lose, and a lot of fun with that. But we'll be right back after this break, Joe. We got Georgia Tech and Pitt next. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In the 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right back here on the Sports Grid Network, college football today, right here, Joe, on the grid. It's Donnie Rightside, it's Joe Lisi. We got a lot to get to today, and we did start off with a banger game that we're going to certainly go back to with USC taking on Oregon. But understand this, Joe. The ACC has been a mess all season.
Yes.
They're holding up the college football playoff and holding it hostage right now. Is Miami the best team in the ACC? Well, if they don't play in their college football championship game themselves, what are we going to do with them? And also understanding who is actually better than Miami and who should take their place. We got a key one today, and it feels like another elimination Saturday game as you take a look, Joe, at Pitt.
It really is, and you look at Georgia Tech, they're a dominant home team right now. They got pushed to the limit last week against Boston College as an 18.5-point road favorite. They had to kick a game-winning field goal, prevail in that matchup, 36-34. But they are undefeated at home. They're 5-0, have won those games by an average margin of victory of 22.2 points per game. They're 4-1 against the number. The only game they didn't cover is the game against Temple, where they laid 23.5 and won it by 21 with a backdoor cover with about a minute left. But you have a dominant rush attack by Georgia Tech, averaging 224 yards on the ground, 5.9 yards per rush, and they're going up against one of the best rush defenses in the ACC. In Pittsburgh, allowing only 90 rushing yards per game and 2.6 yards per carry, Donnie.
Yeah.
You have the edge at quarterback. Haynes King is one of the most dynamic. Dual threat. He leads the team in rushing with 800 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry, multiple touchdowns. He's accounted now for over 25 touchdowns through the air and on the ground. Can that Pitt defense contain him? Here's the factor. Last week, they got abused by a bigger, more physical team in Notre Dame. They were 0 of 13 on third down conversions. Can they win the turnover battle number one, and can they convert on third down? Because Georgia Tech is averaging 51% of third down opportunities. All they do is move the chains and score. This game is intriguing to me. I think it is lower scoring, but I'm going to take a shot. I like Pittsburgh. I like Narduzzi. I think their defense is a little bit better. I think they step up and get the outright win.
You take a look at the opening line here, at least at FanDuel, Joe, 3.5 points. Now it's dipping down to 2.5 at most outlets on game day. Now, Pittsburgh there, total 61.5 down to 59.5. But also, let me ask you this question. Narduzzi had some very interesting comments last week going up against Notre Dame, basically saying this doesn't even matter. Like, it's a non-conference game. We win our conference, things will take care of business and probably make it into the college football playoff. How do you feel that played last week getting smoked, and then your basically biggest game of the year, which is actually this week? Is that a, hey, we didn't worry about last week, we were preparing more for this week, or is that one of those where I like to look at like a Mike Norvell? Hey, you know what, things don't go our way and this doesn't matter, we're going to tank it, and then your team doesn't respond.
Yeah, I think it was a bad look for him. Again, in a bounce-back spot with a conference game, you could erase the loss to Notre Dame. You would think that playing at home, they would step up, marquee matchup. They could have been an at-large team, even if they, let's say, didn't get their way into the ACC championship game. That win over Notre Dame would have catapulted them into national recognition. They didn't get it. They fell behind 14-0. They allowed the drive. They get the turnover, the pick, which led to points, and then all of a sudden it was lights out for Heinschel and that offense. But you have a quarterback that's still a legitimate quarterback and could challenge that defense over the top. When you see Georgia Tech, the game that they got exposed was C.J. Bailey and NC State. They put up 8 points. They won that game 48-36. Bailey throws for 340, multiple touchdowns. Heinschel and this offense have the ability to do that. I still think Pitt bounces back with a better effort, and I think Pitt's defense is better than what NC State was a couple of weeks ago. I think Pitt strikes the upset.
Yeah, we take a look at like the snapshot, Joe, of the last 5 games that these teams played, and it's the ACC, so you don't really get terrible measuring stick. Like the one measuring stick game would have been Notre Dame, and Pitt absolutely got flatlined in that game. But Georgia Tech, NC State is bad. NC State dropped 48 points. BC is really bad, Joe.
Yeah,
that game was 36-34, so it's almost like saying, what's the best of the worst, if you will? Last week, ND plowed Pitt, but at least they're a good program. The last 2 weeks have been questionable at best for Georgia Tech, Joe.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So, like, Georgia Tech's averaging over 220 rushing yards per game. You look at Pittsburgh. Every time they hold opponents under 100 yards on the ground from a defensive perspective, they win. They're 5-1, Donnie, and have won those games by an average margin of victory of 30.6 points per game. You have 2 big play running backs in Holsley and Jamal Haynes for Georgia Tech. Both of those guys can run it. They can catch it. They add an added dimension into that offense, and they're going to utilize a lot of motion to get that defense running sideline to sideline. Can Pitt contain Haynes King? Because when Haynes King rushes for, let's say, 30, 40 yards, you're going to have an opportunity to strike the upset. Again, that's easier said than done because of his mobility and because of how big he steps up in marquee matchups. This team is averaging 6 yards per rush. They haven't won the turnover battle, though, Georgia Tech. -4 in turnover margin. Pitt plays solid third down defense, holding opposing offenses to 34% on third down opportunities. Can Heinschel and that offense bounce back? They're averaging 287 passing yards per game, and G-Tech has given up 247 in the back end. That's the matchup. Again, blue-collar team versus a more finesse type of team. I'll take my chances, even though they're on the road with a dominant home team. Give me Pitt.
I'll tell you what's also, one of those things that you look at where maybe Narduzzi is correct, saying this game doesn't matter. It's non-ACC, talking about Notre Dame, because everything is in front of them, Joe. You beat Georgia Tech, you beat Miami, you're going to wind up in the ACC championship game. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all in front of them where it's like, okay, you can remove Notre Dame, which that would have been a feather in your cap. You knock off Notre Dame, and then maybe you even get in the balance of we don't have to win the ACC championship game and maybe still get in. How crazy that would sound. But understand this. It's all in front of them. But you're on the road at Georgia Tech. Then you play Miami. Then you got to win the ACC championship game. It's a tall task here, but it does start in this one. If I just look at the line, Joe, that is a Pitt line. It really is a Pitt line.
It is. I will say this. One other area of concern, Don, is that through 10 games, Pitt has 75 penalties. That's average 7.5 penalties per game, well over 50 yards. You cannot have that type of effort today going up against Haynes King. Why? Because if you're committing penalties, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and Georgia Tech is sustaining drives, they're going to rout you. They're averaging well over 30 points per game from an offensive perspective, close to 500 total yards per game. We know they're going to get theirs for the most part. Can Pitt respond? And that's what the matchup that'll play out. If you're back in Georgia Tech, you want an over. I think if you're back in Pitt, you want an under and rely on that defense.
It's interesting stuff here because I know we don't like to get ahead of ourselves here, but I'm going to ask Joe a question once we get out of the break here on what actually lies ahead for Georgia Tech and how you might be able to bet their next football game on top of that. But we got more big games to go over, which includes Oklahoma and Missouri. That one coming up as well. So we'll have some good times to talk about that, Joe. But real quick on this. Georgia Tech schedule. Who scheduled that?
Well, they beat Clemson, Donnie.
Oh, my goodness.
Clemson when Clemson was supposedly a contender.
Contenders, non-contenders. We're contenders, and we'll be back. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight where Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid College Football Today right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's Saturday. It's Week 13. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Lisi. All the fun you can have in one, but understand this. We like to look forward. Sometimes, Joe, we talk about those Kalshi markets. Hey, going to make some money in the future markets here. Forget about that, Joe. Just next week. Talk to me about this. Today, you have Georgia Tech and you have Pitt. Mm-hmm. Let's say Georgia Tech wins this game.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know what that sets up after that?
Georgia.
Yeah. Why play any starters against Georgia when you have to win that ACC championship game?
Wow.
That's the question I want. Honestly, it's an honest question.
Well, because, again, it's and we have talked about...
It's a rivalry, I get.
Yeah, we get that. And this is the situation where you have to weigh certain things, right? But if you lose that game to Georgia and margin of defeat is, let's say, 30, I'm just throwing it out. The ACC could be jumped by another conference. I mean, it's also, the way the conference is viewed from top to bottom. I mean, their benefit for the ACC to get a solid ranking is to have a one-loss champion. I mean, you're going to have that was the argument of Duke.
I'm benching them. We're rolling. We're rolling next
Donnie,
week.
You can't bench
By the way,
them.
what is that? Is that a Friday game next week?
No, I think it's Saturday.
Is it?
It used to be, but they switched the schedule up. They don't have like 30 games on Friday, Black Friday anymore. It's only
great.
It's only like 8 this year.
Used to be a lot of big 8 action.
Yeah, so
Fridays,
they saved Saturday for everything. But I mean, I'll just throw out an outlier though. Nobody's talking about this because Alabama's always a shoo-in. What if Alabama loses to Auburn? They're out.
Kick them out.
Right? No, they are out. They'll be 9-3. But then nobody seems to be talking about that in a couple of weeks.
24 teams, Joe. Alabama sneaks in with 3 losses. No big deal. Let's get to the next one because I do feel This is a monster game. Oklahoma upset the apple cart last week, and let's just say I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. You didn't need that to happen. You wanted Alabama to win because they would be in the college football playoff and you'd further knock Oklahoma down. Oklahoma wins last week. They take on Missouri today, who's getting back some help at quarterback, Joe, and look at this total. 42.5 to 43.5, but a 5.5-point favorite for Oklahoma. That line, Joe, early in the week was 7.5. Perdue looks like he's coming back. 5.5 now. Oklahoma, an unbelievably high-energy road victory last week. Can they sustain it today, Joe?
Well, they're going to have to. I mean, bottom line, they have to win, and they don't just – here's the thing. They could get by with a 1-point win, but why even get into a dogfight with Missouri that went toe-to-toe with Vanderbilt, knocked off Auburn on the road? They're a very good road team and have stepped up in road environments for the most part. At the end of the day, you have a chance to win out. They play Missouri and then LSU. You don't know what you're going to get out of LSU. LSU plays Western Kentucky today, and two of the best secondaries, right? You have Missouri giving up basically 169 passing yards per game, very good in run support, 3.3 yards per rush. But the way Oklahoma's played, Donnie, on the defensive side of the ball, and you want to talk about run support, right? We talk about holding opposing offenses. They held Tennessee and Alabama in back-to-back weeks to a total of 143 rushing yards, Donnie. This defense has only given up 2.4 yards per rush. I know they're a little limited right now. They're averaging 226 through the air, Oklahoma, and $130 on the ground. But you have Mateer that stepped up. This defense has been opportunistic. They handcuffed Ty Simpson. I don't care if Bo Prabula is 100%. He hasn't stepped up all this year. The one game that he had an opportunity to make a statement was against Alabama, and he threw a pick. He's coming off an ankle injury. He hasn't played in 4 weeks. How does that benefit Missouri? Now, I will just say this, Donnie. You and I, we look at this stuff. A lot of people like Missouri today. And this line, this is a public dog by a lot of so-called sharps, gurus. I'm on the other side. I like Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma routes them today. It strictly comes down to Bo Prabula or Matt Zollers. It doesn't matter who starts. Zollers has been pathetic, 53% completion percentage. I don't think Prabula is coming back 100%. Even if he does, he hasn't stepped up. I give the benefit to Oklahoma, and I think they can put up points. I think Mateer attacks the secondary over the top. His number's 217.5 today. I think Mateer breaks out, but I think we get points aplenty. People looking lower scoring. I think Oklahoma and Norman, opportunistic. They put pedal to the metal. They blow them out today.
Yeah, you know what? Because, again, from a rooting perspective, if you're wanting chaos in there, you certainly want Missouri to win this game, and then it throws a couple 3-loss SEC teams into the mix. But if you are looking at the scores, Joe, you're right. Last week, Mississippi State, 49-27, Missouri. Week before that, they lose, but 38-17. You look at Oklahoma, 23-21. Where, Alabama probably had the better game plan, the better overall. You can't turn the football over, and that's what they did, and that's why they won that game. Tennessee, 33-27. I look at that total and be like, come on, man, we can't get both teams into the 20s today.
I think we can. I like Oklahoma. I already bet Oklahoma at -5.5. You want to give me a 2-point discount, that's fine. But I took the total as well. I altered it up and I altered it down. Just both ways. 30.5, and I have it up as high as 48.5.
Don't listen to Joe. We want chaos. We want Missouri. We want Bo Prabula running wild today in the streets as we have at it. Coming up next year for us, the best of the rest. So we'll get to a lot more football games here. But this is good stuff. Coming down the barrel of looking at that college football playoff, Joe. We're having some fun right on the SportsGrid Network, and we will be right back. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In the 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe, like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
TreVeyon Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and TreVeyon Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
College football today. It's how we get down to business. It is week 13 right now. It's Joe Lisi. It's Donnie Rightside. But now is the time in the show. It's the best of the rest. And sometimes we just want to talk about the best, Joe. And we talk about trying to make some money and point people in the right direction. What if I would have told you a couple weeks back you could have got a football team to make the college football playoff at plus 285? And what if I would have told you today, Joe, they're minus 2,200 to make that playoff? You might call me the genius of a bull market, your boy DRS.
Oh, is that
it's a
in
bull
Notre
market
Dame?
right
Is that
now. It's a bull market.
You better be careful. Everything's selling off. You might have to bail.
I might get out of my option today.
You might have to get out. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You were right about
There was
Notre Dame.
no benefit of the doubt. It's right. What do you mean benefit of the doubt?
Because I'll tell you why. Because hang on. Because you were high on Miami, and when they smashed Notre Dame,
and what's in their top 15 still?
Notre Dame
Where's
stinks.
LSU? Bottom 15?
Well, listen, Brian Kelly's dead to me. He cost me money, and on top of that, they're basically a 500
Aaron
football
Anderson
team.
come bail you out?
Yeah, him too. I mean, they don't throw him the football anymore, leading wide receiver. But you bashed Notre Dame after they lost to Miami. And then you were double bashing them. Don't think I don't watch your shows when they lost to A&M at times. And then all of a sudden you had an epiphany because Miami, you realized, was just an average football team. And you had to go to somebody, so you went to this Notre Dame bandwagon. And they play absolutely nobody, Donnie.
That doesn't matter.
Who they beat?
Look,
Arkansas. I love Arkansas. They're under 500.
Look at you.
They're 2-8.
Look at you hating on. Look at it. I got this. And by the way, that's me looking through the binoculars at you. That's me looking like, look at this guy out here.
Is that a
struggling?
I hope
what do you look? Are you climbing? Are you climbing the peak out there? In I
hope so.
Yeah. Look at it. Look at minus 2,200 as the climb comes on, Joe. When they talk about DRS, they just talk value. I'm value. I'm McDonald's out here. That's a value meal.
Well, take it a step further. Right? You bet them at 285.
Take the profit.
Just to bet them to win it all. You believe in them that much?
Because I think Miami can beat them in the final.
Oh, with this Miami team.
Miami, Notre Dame in the final. Can we get that?
How about Miami loses to Va-Tech today? That would be music to my ears.
I'm telling you right now, Miami probably does not win out, which is what they need to do, which is embarrassing for that team at this point. Like Pitt's going to stone them in the final game.
Right, that could be.
Like Narduzzi gets waxed this week and then stones Miami to end the season.
It happened with Rick's, right? Kenny Pickett knocked you guys off.
And by the way, last year, Syracuse just beat Syracuse, getting the college football playoff. Couldn't do it here, Joe. Today, Notre Dame takes on Syracuse, a 50.5 total. The side, 35.5 as a favorite for Notre Dame. The sky is the limit on that running game today, Joe, because the one thing we do know is Notre Dame has to win as impressive as they can. Because if Miami wins impressive down the stretch, the committee does not want to hear Miami should be in over Notre Dame the way they're ranking them. Notre Dame has to absolutely blast Syracuse today.
You would think, but, I mean, are you stepping up to the window and laying the 5 touchdowns? I'm not.
I like the over 50.5, though, by the way.
Yeah, you would think that, right? But here's the thing. The problem is Syracuse, since they went to Ricky Collins and they went to all the backups for Filardi and the rotating quarterback carousel, they have not been able to move the football consistently, right? They've been getting blown out of games. How do you control this Notre Dame two-headed monster of Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, and now with Carr coming on with that performance? You have to keep them on the sidelines, though, Donnie. The only way they can cover this line is if they run the football, get an 8 or a 9-minute drive, though, similar to what they did against Miami. They cover that game by a half. I can't go to the window and lay 36.5 with Notre Dame. They should smash them, but if you're asking me, Joe, bet this game, I probably would take the dog. They haven't lost by more than 35 all year, Syracuse.
Now, let me ask you this question, too, because people watch the show and they want analysis. They want the in-game stuff. It's okay, this makes a lot of sense. But answer me this, Joe, not on paper, but understanding as a coach and as a football team. Sometimes, Joe, it's not about winning football games anymore. It's how many games you can win these games by, if that makes sense. So I see the 36.5. Hey, it's a 35-point lead. You got the ball inside the 20. Joe, they're probably pounding in another touchdown.
Yeah, we're back to the old BCS and AP poll days. But why?
Margin matters.
But you know why? Because we have a bunch of teams that potentially could have 2 losses and even 3 losses. That we've heard that if Texas knocks off A&M, the argument is Texas should be in the playoff. Well, what if Alabama's in that mix?
Yeah.
So you have a number of different teams right now that have to take care of business, and style points matter, especially when the committee's going to be cracking eggs between Miami, Notre Dame. Is it the head-to-head? Is it the team that's playing the best right now? And you look at all of these games, including the Oklahoma game, and you say, if you're up late, you tack that last game or last touchdown on to make it look good, because that would matter to the committee in a couple weeks.
Now, let's flip it over, too, because as we talk about a team in Notre Dame that is fighting head-to-head basically with Miami. Why? 2 losses, one team beat one team, but obviously it's when you lose. And some people watching college football now understand this. It's always been that way. Lose early, win late, you get the benefit of the doubt. And that's the way it is. But some people try to, oh, well, that's not fair, they did this. That's the way it is. But also, Miami's favorite at Virginia Tech today, Joe, was 17.5, was 16.5. Now it's 18.5 with a lot of outlets here. On game day with a total of 49.5. The same thing goes even more than Notre Dame, who can probably get away with a 21-point victory today. Miami has to crush this number. Also, because you have to doesn't mean you do, right? On the road at Virginia Tech, 50-degree temperatures, not as bad as it could have been here for late November. But, Joe, talk to me again about Miami. They should win this game, but it's not about just winning this game.
No, it's not. And if you want to look at a body of work from Miami, what happens? They struggle on the road. Look at the SMU game. Look at last year's Syracuse and G-Tech. Something with Mario Cristobal, when they go on the road, either they come out flat or they don't play up to expectations. I really like Virginia Tech today. Remember the game last year, and you and I and Kevin fought about it, the 50-50 ball where they had the Hail Mary on the last play of the game. Yeah. It could have went either way, right? Instant replay goes to Miami. But I'm saying Virginia, and they were a 14.5-point underdog in that game. Yeah. Now this team is dead and buried. It's the last home game for the Virginia Tech Hokies. They're breaking out white camouflage today. And guess what? James Franklin will be there, the new head coach. Does that add extra juice? There's rain, light rain in the forecast. That potentially could slow down Miami. This could make it a closer game. I'll take the 18.5. I think Vatek is live.
By the way, if you are James Franklin, put the headset on. Take a spin, Joe. It's for free. It's like they give the free roll.
Why wouldn't you go to the locker room and pump them up? Yeah. I'm just saying, this right now is a program that has new optimism. Montgomery is a former head coach at Tulsa. He's done a pretty good job. Kyron Jones is a quarterback that's mobile, abused them on the ground last year, and this is an offense that could still run the football in Virginia Tech, $187 on the ground. Again, I know that Miami smashed Syracuse, didn't cover, but smashed NC State too. This is a different animal in Blacksburg and Lane Stadium. I'm curious to see at 12 how this game plays out.
By the way, getting your thoughts, too, on Virginia Tech. We have plenty of times to get some of these other games, but it's fun to talk about like a new coaching change that happens here. You have James Franklin. Yeah. To be honest, I think it's a perfect hire. It is. I really do.
It's exactly similar to Vanderbilt, where he took the team to 9-4 back-to-back seasons, won 2 bowl games in a row, had players like Zach Stacy and Jordan Rogers and some of the others that just stepped up. And dominated throughout, the Commodores. One of the heydays for Vanderbilt, right, for the most part, winning back-to-back bowl games, knocking off teams like NC State and Mike Lennon back in the day. That's how he got the job, right? Over-exceeding expectations at a place where it was tempered. Same thing now with Virginia Tech. This isn't 1999. Mike Vick, Marcus Vick aren't walking out there.
Randall.
This is a team, Brian Randall, right? This is a team that's just looking to get back to 8 or 9 wins and challenge the likes of Miami and some of the other teams like Georgia Tech now that are the front runners in the ACC. That's what James Franklin could bring you. He could recruit. The problem is going to be if Vatek somehow, some way makes it to the college football playoff in the next 2 or 3 seasons, Can he win that game will ultimately dictate whether they're back on top.
Yeah, and also like the expectations too. At Penn State, it wasn't good enough anymore to go 10-2. It's like we have to compete for a national championship, but it's clear he couldn't do that. But now you go to Virginia Tech when they're downtrodden right now. You bring them a 10-win season, even if it's an ACC 10-win season. That's all they can hope for. Make a college football playoff once in a while. You won't compete for the national championship, but those not having those expectations of, oh my goodness, if I can't beat Ohio State, I'm out of a job.
No, and they play, and he predicates defense, right? You know they're going to bring their lunch pail. Solid defense, maybe not an explosive offense, but good enough to win you 9 or 10 games.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it does work out. But again, it's one of those low risk situations for Franklin, which he can certainly do very well there and win 10 football games a year at Virginia Tech. But we got more games to get to here. We're going to get down in the SEC next with Kentucky and Vanderbilt and so much more. Right here on the Sports Grid Network, it's College Football Today. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In the 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
Sports Grid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on Sports Grid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on Sports Grid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on Sports Grid.
More college football. That's what you get when you tune into the Sports Grid Network on Saturdays here for Week 13 AFL action, Joe. Like AFL action, NFL action, college football action, what is it, the AFCCA?
What about the IFL now, the Indoor Football League?
Is that still going around? They used to have Indoor 1 and 2. Do you remember that?
I think they do. I caught one game yesterday. It was interesting.
Yeah, interesting to say the least. Tape delay.
Is this a new graphic best of the rest?
I don't know. Looks good, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Do we look good on set right now?
We look fantastic.
All right, fantastic. Kentucky and Vanderbilt, Joe. Let's get down to the business here. 9.5-point line opener for the favorite towards Vanderbilt. 8.5 now. 53.5 to 54.5 in the marketplace right now. Diego Pavia and the boys, again, still outlying shots here to maybe make a college football playoff run.
Yeah, and this is going to be a difficult game. This is one of my better bets today. I like Kentucky. I took it at 8.5. I also took it up on an alt line to 10.5. We talk about Vanderbilt not being able to beat Kentucky at home since 2015. 4 straight meetings they've lost in Nashville. You look at this rivalry. It goes back and forth. Traditionally a very close game, but the way Kentucky's playing, they've won 3 straight, Donnie, by an average margin of victory of 23.3 points per game. They're not just doing it offensively, running the football. They're actually doing it on the defensive side of the ball. Last 5 games, they've held opposing offenses to only 108 rushing yards per game. When you limit Vanderbilt and keep them under 200, you're in games from start to finish. Those are the games where Vanderbilt struggles and really hasn't covered. I like Kentucky here. I don't know if they get the upset, but you want to give me over a touchdown on the road with a team that's fighting for bowl contention? I'll take Mark Stoops. He's also coaching for his job. Give me the Wildcats. Could be a major upset today.
Rudderless ship there down in Florida. We're talking about Jacksonville, or excuse me, down in Gainesville. Tennessee and Florida going to play today, Joe. Look at this line. Only a 3.5-point favorite here for Tennessee in the Swamp. That total, Joe, 58.5 points. Are we primed for an upset here?
No, I don't know.
No?
I mean, here's the thing. I really like Tennessee. Again, this is the bailout game just in case, right? So let me ask you. Florida has 2 home games left. Okay, they cover against Ole Miss. That was a public play. A lot of people that was sharp liked Florida last week. They get the cover. They lose it by 10.
Yeah.
They have 2 home games left. This team is dead and buried, not going to a bowl. Are they getting – and the 2 rivalry games. Yep. Are they
Florida
getting
State,
up for Tennessee? Or are they getting up for Florida, their in-state rival that these kids go to high school with? They know better. They're going to get up for the Florida – I believe, the Florida State game. They have problems moving the football. Well, I know they stepped up against Georgia, but you have the SEC's leading passer in Joey Aguilar, 2,900-plus passing yards. You have better athletes on the offensive side of the ball for Tennessee. This game went into overtime last year because of Nico, his inefficiency in the passing attack. They could have blown him out. They didn't, and that's why Tennessee struggled. Laying 3.5, Donnie? Don, this line was 16.5, 17.5 last year in Knoxville. Now it's only 3.5 with a better quarterback. Tennessee rolls.
Yeah, it seems like it. And you're right. There is 2 games left here for Florida. It's not like, hey, you're playing Samford this week. And
Both at home.
Like, both at home. Yeah, both rivalry games. We'll see if they can get up for it. I just look at that line myself and say, boy, it does seem a little bit short right now as it plays out. BYU and Cincinnati. You want to talk about a short line here, Joe? 2.5s across the board. That's where it opened. That's where it sits right now. A total of 56.5. If you're shopping at some outlets, 55.5 here. BYU and Cincinnati. Another big game, particularly for BYU. They're going to say, look, if we win this thing out and we got 1 loss, show us the money.
Yeah, they're going to be another team that's going to be in the college football playoff. Cincinnati, disappointing loss as a 6.5-point home favorite over Arizona. But you look at this team, Sorsby and this offense. I like them at home. They smashed Baylor. And I know BYU stepped up a couple weeks ago in road environments against Iowa State. But again, in this type of spot, I like Satterfield. I like the rushing attack. I like the physicality of Cincinnati's defense to bounce back in a big way. Basically, all you got to do is win, right? I mean, it's a pick'em game as far as I'm concerned. I'm taking the home dog. I think Cincinnati bounces back. I like their rushing attack with Taiwan Walker. I like the offensive line. I just think Cincinnati wins outright.
How about this one, Joe? Arkansas and Texas back in the SEC we go. It's like Frankenstein. Remember the Sia song? I'm alive. You like that right there?
I do, yeah.
Texas wins today. Wins over A&M.
They're not in the playoff, Donnie. Stop it, Donnie. Where's the...
Come on.
Donnie, wait a second.
Stop.
Wait a second. You
they got
crazy
Sark.
now.
Come on.
They lost to Florida outright.
Florida's tough,
They
man.
got pushed by Kentucky.
And Kentucky's really good.
Miss State, 2 games. They didn't
Mississippi
cover
State's
against
really
those
good.
games. Got smashed by Georgia. They're out. All right, I don't want to talk.
Come on, look, Texas today wins by double digits. Texas knocks off A&M. You can't keep them out down there.
Let me just say this. I bet against Arkansas last week just because it was LSU, and the kid takes a knee on the Harlan Berry on the 10-yard line. Granted, I should have covered. It is what it is. I love this Arkansas team. They have 6 games where they lost by 7 points or less, right? Covered as a 9.5-point dog against Ole Miss, lost by 6. Covered against Tennessee, catching 7.5, lost by 3. Caught 8.5 against A&M, lost by 3. All they do is step up and cover lines against better competition.
Yeah.
They have the big 3. Taylon Green, my guy Mike Washington, and let's not forget the alpha, the Omega Blake. You gotta love the Omega Blake. Plus 105 to hit pay dirt today. The kid's phenomenal. The transfer out of Charlotte. I have no confidence in Texas. I can't bet this line because I think Arkansas is potentially due for a loss. But in this Southwest Conference rivalry dating back, if I had to bet it, it would be the Hogs and the over.
So we would take the over. It's because, again, you're getting some steam on there. The 55.5s to open the week now. They are 58.5s basically across the board at this point. But I just think it's so interesting the way you take a look at it and say, all right, well, college football rankings here, Texas sits at 17. They get a win this weekend. Maybe a couple teams like the Georgia Tech gets beat or USC gets beat. They move up at that point. And then you take a look at they are going to play the number 3 team in the country who's undefeated on that final game. You beat them by a touchdown. I'm telling you, people are going to be screaming. You can't leave this team out. Look at the schedule they had, Joe.
But Donnie, they didn't beat anybody.
Doesn't matter if you play a tough schedule.
What are you talking about?
They beat A&M then.
But the A&M is a rivalry game. I mean, we're talking about they got smashed by 25 at Georgia. They got smashed. It wasn't even close. They lost to Florida outright. They didn't cover.
They went at Ohio State, Joe. They played at Florida when Florida was something. They played Oklahoma, number 6 in the country.
They beat Oklahoma.
Vanderbilt beat them there. Georgia, the bottom fell out. But I'm telling you, you get me to Texas A&M in the final game of the season, boy. You can rout them there. Arch Manning. They've even put him back in the Heisman race now for that win. Come on.
This team was preseason number 1.
Yeah. According to who said Sarkisian.
With the favorite for the Heisman Trophy, and they don't have one good quality win.
Respond.
The game against Oklahoma, John Mateer went out there with a broken thumb. Can we stop?
They were dominant in that game at the Cotton Bowl, Joe. 50% red, 50% burnt orange in that stadium, and they saw 100% butt kicking in that one. How do you like that? Rat Pack snacks, baby. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Whoa, how we get down now, Joe? You know this time of the day.
You love this
What's
segment.
this time of the day now?
This is the Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack as we get after it with the bad games of the day that most people would say, but I sometimes look at it, Joe, maybe the best games of the day. Why not?
You're not betting these games.
Why not?
You're betting it? I'm not betting these games.
Well, we're not allowed to bet Rutgers, Ohio State here,
Right,
Joe.
that's true.
I mean, come on, can we, though?
32.5, though.
Can we drive somewhere and maybe get this one in?
You know, Shiano going back to Ohio State in that aspect, it's going to be an intriguing game.
They want to hammer that guy, man.
And obviously in New Jersey talent with the playoffs coming, you want to keep as many kids in state before they jump and bolt to Ohio State or Notre Dame, right? That's typically where Jersey kids.
Why can't we build Rutgers up, Joe? Like, why can't we do it?
Professional talent.
It feels like
nobody
when
talks Rutgers.
James
Rutgers
Gandolfini passed away.
Number one in the college football playoff odds, and they'd still be talking Derek Jeter here in New York.
I mean, don't you remember Leonard and Rice? Was it Leonard and Rice in the backfield?
Yeah, Brian Leonard and Ray Rice, and then Mike Teal at quarterback.
Give me the wideout. Underwood?
Britt.
Was there an Underwood
Kenny
out
Britt?
there? Yeah. Who else was out there wide out?
I don't know.
They had a good tight end, too.
Well, you're talking Marco Battaglia back in the day?
Maybe Lucas, a quarterback?
Ray
Come on now,
Lucas.
man.
Yeah.
Get after it at this point. But anyway, this game, Joe, 31.5 the opening number. It actually is down to 29.5 and a total of 53.5. It's one that I look at where Ohio State's defense is so good, Joe, that I don't know if we get 53.5 points because I don't know if Rutgers is scoring, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, Rutgers, to win this game would probably have to put up 24 to 28 points, and that's not going to happen because their defense is going to get probably abused in this matchup. They gave up a ton of points to teams like Minnesota and Ohio. Team that you want one indication. Ohio State hammered Minnesota later in the year. So again, going into the horseshoe into this type of environment, not going to be easy. But again, it's down to 29.5. I could have sworn I did a show yesterday. It was 32.5 at like 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
Buybacks.
So. Could be. Here's
Kaliak
the thing.
Manus?
But here's the thing. You talk about resting, right? You're up in the second half, and you have the big game on deck. Are you going to probably rest Sayin, rest Jeremiah Smith, get the backups involved? That's what you're looking at now, right? You want to make sure you knock off Michigan for the rivalry game. I know this game is a Big Ten matchup, but if you have a 24, 28-point lead in the fourth quarter, could potentially get backdoored by Rutgers.
Like to say, I smell a rat at this point right now. Charlotte and Georgia, Joe, 43.5-point line. By the way, the opening number was 45.5. Buyback coming in on Charlotte today, 53.5. But they also say we got a rivalry game on deck.
Yeah, I think it's something like 13-0 with Kirby Smart, not covering, these big lines over, 40 points. The fact that it went from 45 down to 43.5 now.
Yeah.
I probably would take a shot. Everybody's on this trend with Georgia not covering these huge lines. I'll just say this. That train is rolling now for Georgia. You talk about this offense and what they were able to do since basically the second half of Ole Miss. Put up 41 against Miss State, the margin of victory of 20 points. Dominate Texas, 25 points. Gunnar Stockton, the rushing attack of Bowens and Nate Frazier. You got Isaiah Branch coming back in. Dylan Bell now being more involved. Oscar Delp. They have a ton of weapons. I understand they have Georgia Tech on deck. But I still, if I had to bet this game, this probably would be the one game I go against the trend. I would lay it with Georgia.
How about this Rat Pack game? I love this because when I take a look and I say to myself, who should win this game? It's not in the equation. Texas A&M is a 54.5-point favorite, Joe. But the better part of it, 59.5 is the total. Do we get a touchdown out of Samford?
As someone who bet South Carolina last week, I love the output. To see them jump up 30-3, right, and seeing Marcel Reed and that team come back, the biggest comeback in, I believe, A&M history after trailing by 27 points at home. A miraculous fourth quarter. And credit not just Marcel Reed, but for the defense for containing Lenore Sellers. If I had to bet this game, I probably would take the over, no? If they're gonna win this game, they're gonna put up like 70.
Do they just take the air out of the football, though, Joe?
Are they? With Texas, or is Elko gonna say because you came out flat last week, we're gonna steamroll them into the week with Texas? Now maybe it's not the first teamers, but I don't think he stops throwing the football in this game.
How about the Belichick Bowl today, Joe? Duke, North Carolina, separated by 8 miles. Today, this game is in Chapel Hill, but a 6.5-point favorite for the Duke Blue Devils here. Man, he's taking them in there, Joe. Is he coming out with a victory and a cover?
I think he is. I think a lot of people were on him last week against Wake Forest. Did you see what happened? He calls the timeout with a minute left, and Dickert stuck it right into him to give him the over and the cover. You got to love that. You want to call the timeout here.
Yeah, you want the big handshakes at the end of the game?
You want the timeout here. We gave it to you. Punch right in the stones.
51.5 too, Joe.
I'd say under. Yeah, I think it's more of a defensive game.
Will they play for the Big Bell?
Yeah, but give me Carolina. They could be sneaky today.
All right, give you Carolina. Give me hour number 2 coming up next. Right here on the SportsGrid Network. We'll be right back. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.